This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona, your weekly look at everyday misogyny. Today is one of my favorite days. we have we have my great friend Chris DeRosa. He's back on the podcast. You'll recognize Chris from the world-renowned podcast Fixing Famous People and our episode about the Real Housewives, where he was nice enough to talk to us about how they're breaking barriers over there on Bravo. And Chris is here today so I can hold space for my feelings about Wicked Part 1. Chris, when was the last time you thought about the lyrics of Defying Gravity?
Today, right
Today.
before logging on to the Zoom, honestly. And this is episode we'll be holding space for. We don't really know what, but something.
Honestly, like, here's the thing. Remember when I went to the Eras tour and then I listened to the All Too Well 10-minute version every day and I was like, that's meditating. I think that's what I'm going to do with Defying Gravity
Yeah.
every
Well,
day.
you
Is
were holding space for Taylor. Like that, yeah.
I was holding space for Taylor Swift and RIP Eras tour. You won't know this, but it ended last
No,
night.
I do. I'm not. I mean, I live in the world. I'm not like an idiot. I like. I know it ended, and like many people are like R.I.P. And I'm like, hasn't she been doing this for like 2.5 years? Like, like, oh my god, like, is she like, can she rest? The answer is
Yes,
no. The
no.
answer is no. But
She had she's not a Capricorn. She's a Sagittarius, but she's a December Sagittarius, and there's no rest for the weary when you're a December baby. There's
no,
none.
no.
Chris, what was your relationship with Wicked before the press tour started?
God, what was my relationship with Wicked? Obviously, as like a millennial, we all loved it. We listened to the soundtrack forever. In high school, we went to the touring company. Like I did the touring company of Wicked and saw that. And so like I knew the musical inside and out, obviously.
Obviously.
What else? I mean, it was one of those things, and I'll get into this later, where it's like we all loved this so much because we were nerds and like earnestly loved this like flip on its head of like the most famous movie of all time
Yes.
thing. And like then for a very long time, we got into this like cool world where we're like too cool for everything. And now that I'm in my mid 30s, I'm like, no, I just like want to watch people that are like truly talented and like doing things that are of talent versus PR
Yes.
slash smoke and mirrors slash like publicity or like being cool or trendy.
Yeah.
And like I think the world is kind of in that, or at least millennials that are getting older now are in that space where they're like, no, we just want to see things that like are really well done. And so like even leading up to the movie, I was like, the trailer looks great.
It looked
The
great.
movie looks great. Like everyone that's talking about it like says that it's like it's gonna be great, blah blah blah. And it just simply was. And that
Yeah.
there's something really strange about that. But like we shouldn't like this. Like we should be like making fun of this movie, and
And I
yet
can't and I
we're
won't.
at all. Like at all. Even when they're being absolutely insufferable in these like press junkets with these absolute charlatans that they're being put with, like truly charlatans. Like even this random person was like, I got you guys a gift, and like walked up to them on the red carpet and gave them both little snowflake ornaments with their dogs faces in the middle of them, which
It
is
was
like,
their dog's face. It wasn't
yes,
even, I thought it was like like Ariana got an Elphaba one and Cynthia
no,
got a
it was
Glinda
like
one.
each of their dogs on in the middle of this thing, and
I
they
shouldn't know.
acted like they gave them like the holy grail. Do you
I
know what I mean?
shouldn't
They
know
were
what their
like,
dogs look like.
no. And like regardless, like, and again, I should like pummel them into the ground on podcasts because of this, and yet it flies right past me and I don't even care.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite moment of the year. Not only the movie, but the press tour. Because I have lived my life craving to be the level of excitement that I'm always holding in my heart out in the open. And I truly think, like, my mom and I got into a fight about it where she yelled and I sat there and went, I don't know. I just feel. But she was like, maybe I'd want to go see Wicked if the press tour wasn't so annoying. And I'm like, what about it is annoying you? She goes, why are they crying all the time? I go, because they're theater children.
Yeah,
because
because they're losers. Like, duh,
right,
like us. Yeah.
their dreams have come true. Do you know how rare it is for
Yeah.
someone's dream to come true? They should be crying. They should wake up crying. That SpongeBob looking man gets to date Ariana Grande.
Yeah, correct.
That's
And
a
like
dream.
this is the thing is like no one has a real reason to like not like the movie. This is the
No,
thing. Everyone that I've talked to, they're like, it was too long. I was like, every movie that's this big is too long.
it's too long.
It's
Yeah.
something I've been saying for years. Like the power of the dog was too long. Guess what? I was enthralled when they get to the Emerald City. I was like, I'm so upset that this is over. It's been 2 hours and 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I've sat through like Avengers Endgame basically at this point, and I'm like, I'm so sad that it's ending. I want it to continue. That one girl, that one woman that did like, she was like freaking out, and she was like, "Did you see the thing?" Her name is like, I don't even remember what it's like, Body Courage, I think, or something. Courage is her like handle, and she's like, "If you're not like any Glindas in my life, like leave." Like she did this whole comedy thing that was like really funny. And she's like, "That's Dr. Dillamon right there," and it was like a deer made out of Christmas lights. You know what I mean? That you would like put in your yard. And she's like, "Look right there," and she's like, she did this whole thing that was like so funny. But she said like, if Nicole Kidman came out and was like, "This is the intermission, and then part two is going to start like in 20 minutes,"
I'd
like
be
I
in.
would have sat there. Like
I would
it
have
would have been
sat.
fine.
People are already calling for the in 2025. I best be able to park my ass in a movie theater for 8 hours.
Yeah,
So
like
I
see
can,
the first one,
yes,
do an intermission, and then come back. Yeah.
yes.
And like again, it's too long is not like a real critique. Because again, then my follow-up question is like, what would you cut out of this movie? And there's truly not one scene that you can cut out without cutting out like one of the songs. That's
And mind you, I was 15 when I saw it the first time, and I saw it with the first Chicago cast. So, like the live in Chicago cast.
nice.
And then I saw a tour in my late 20s in Dayton before I worked at the theater. It was when I was still teaching. And I read the book.
Yeah. Oh, I
In
read the
between
book
them.
too. I read the book as well. Yeah.
I read the book when I was a teenager because someone said Munchkin orgy, and I was like, you know who's horny? Me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this Oz horny book. Like, okay. So I read the book, and I couldn't pick out, and maybe it's because my brain is mush at this point in 2024, but I couldn't pick out what was filler from the book and what, when they tell me that part one, the movie, is as long as the entire Broadway musical, I'm always like, how? They didn't even add anything. And they're like, well,
Oh,
they
they did
did.
though. Wait, we can go through and talk about that. I feel like I know because I watched a bootleg version that when I tell you is like 45 pixels by 45 pixels of like some tour of Wicked, but it's just like has the audio of the whole movie
Uh-huh.
or the whole show. So it's like, and again, like, did I need to actually look at the screen and like see the people? No, of course
No.
not. I just need to like hear what was happening. And so I'm trying to think. At the beginning with the flashbacks, like it was a lot longer. Like
Okay.
the birth story is a lot longer,
Okay.
which again needed whenever
Needed.
you see her use her powers to throw those rocks at those little kids and her cute little sister in that little wheelchair that
Oh,
was like the littlest nugget of anyone I've ever
a
seen in
little
my
nugget.
life. Little cutie patootie. That was great. That was like added.
That little nugget can come on the podcast, and I'll just ask her yes, no questions for
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
an
yeah.
hour. Like,
Her Instagram is like exploded. She's like posing in like all these places and it's like period. Like she's like just like giving it like at random places where she's like at a premiere in her little wheelchair. And I'm like absolutely obsessed with her in every way.
obsessed.
Again, she had not one line in the movie, and then she literally went meh. Like she literally did like a noise. Like I don't even think she said a word. Like she made a noise. And when I tell you, both times I watched the movie in theaters, everyone went, "Oh!" It was
Oh,
like, but the birth part was a little bit longer,
they added choreography too because they moved through shiz. So I realized that the musical numbers were longer.
but not by much.
Not by much.
Like only by like 20 some seconds sometimes.
Okay.
Like the loathing song, what is this feeling? Like it's basically that's what happens on in the show.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Okay.
They
Well,
actually only like they like delayed a few lines to just like add a little bit more choreography, but like it's not like by minutes at all.
okay.
And then the scene where I'm trying to think. So she does the wizard. Oh, like when they come to the thing, when they come to they're all arriving in the beginning.
Yes.
That was a little bit longer.
Yes. Yeah. Because it has, well, and I think that people don't understand what it takes to actually turn something into a movie. Like there
Yeah,
has
well,
to,
and you can do more.
you
Like you
can
could,
do
there's more you
more.
can do that you don't need to do on stage because you don't have to have it happen in front of everyone's eyes. And like again, that wasn't like that scene wasn't dragging where she goes there and then like throws everyone around and then
No,
she gets accepted to the school. Do you know what I
no,
mean? Like
no,
again, like tell me what you wanted to cut out because it's nothing.
because it's nothing. Also, one time I told someone that I had seen Mamma Mia on stage. It was my first Broadway production that I saw on stage. And someone had just seen the movie and they were like, how did they get a boat on stage? And I was like, come again. And they're like, how did they drive the boat onto stage so those men could arrive? And I was like,
They walked from the wing of the stage and said, I just got off a boat. Like, no, people are idiots.
yes. The
Contro-
complete
Controversial. I loved Mamma Mia, the stage show. I hated
You
Mamma
hate the
Mia, the movie.
movie?
I hate the movie.
What
It was
about
way,
Mamma
it was
Mia?
so
Here we
long.
go again.
That one shouldn't have been made, and yet I watched it on a
It's
plane. And
perfect.
it's horrific, but like, what? Sure. The movie, the stage show, the men carry the show the
Yeah.
entire time, and in the movie, it's so much about the daughter and the mom and
Mhm.
Meryl Streep. Duh. So of course Meryl Streep's going to be the main character of the movie. Hello.
Yeah.
But like the men like are in every song. Like they like really carry the show, and you love them for it.
Mhm.
I know I'm with the wrong audience to say the men are the most important part of Mamma Mia,
Yes.
but the characters are they really do carry a lot of the story, and they like do reprises of all the different songs and like
They do.
yeah, like
You couldn't make
Pierce
Pierce
Brosnan
Brosnan.
wasn't
No.
gonna be doing that, so like that it is lacking from the energy of the stage show. Anyway, continue.
Both Mamma Mia movies are perfect and they're all worth it because at some point you know that Colin Firth is going to be in a glittery jumpsuit and
I
lip
know.
syncing to a song.
Dear God in heaven.
And it's all that I want. And it sends me right back to what a girl wants when he has to put on the leather pants.
I can't. Oh my God, I forgot all about that.
My favorite
Jesus
line
Christ.
in movie history. But that's the main complaint that I'm getting to. That people who haven't lived with Wicked since they were 15 years old have told me, "Oh, you really loved it. It's so long." And I'm like, "I was engaged the entire time. You couldn't."
And like it says how long the movie is when you buy your ticket.
Correct.
That's what I'm not like. We didn't say that this was a 90-minute movie. It's the movie event of the decade, is it not?
No, I was trying to think about that today. Like I'm watching Wicked and I'm like, this is the movie of the year. What movie would have even come close to trumping it? As we know, I refuse to see Oppenheimer. I will not watch one frame of it. And that was last year. That wasn't a 2024 film.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing. This is this I think Wicked has the chance to revitalize going to the theater.
Correct.
And it was
Barbie
something that
walked so this could like fly.
yes,
Also.
Barbie got us back to the theater. And then she was like, "What if you saw my boyfriend Oppenheimer for the bit?" And I said, "No, I won't."
I ended up watching it once it got on Peacock, and it was good. I mean, the editing was like incredible, but there were so many scenes where I was like, what's happening?
What's
I was like,
happening?
what is this movie about? And it was
Me watching the Ultimatum this season, where I'm like, "Who is that?"
yeah,
and
they
I'm
all
on
look,
episode 4.
every single one of them looks exactly. I'm like, this one's with this. I'm like doing a Beautiful Mind in my head, and then it's like, and I'm the whole thing's wrong. So then I'm like having to burn it to the ground and have to like when I tell you that every single one of them is exactly the same person to me, I'm like,
Chris.
Yeah.
I got into the middle of episode 3. 2 people were talking. I'm like, I have no idea who these 2
you're like,
people
are they together? Were they ever together? Do they like each other? Have they ever spoken on camera together before?
But my mom also tried to fight me about the press tour where she's like, why does Cynthia only wear green now? And I was like, because we dress to theme now. I've been doing this since I was 13.
Also, they've been doing it for a year and a half. We've made fun of it a million times on Fixing Famous People. It's like, Dominic, you seem like, are they going to really do this much press? Like at the Olympics this summer, they were dressed in pink and green. And I was like, yeah. Dominic, they are.
And it
this
paid
is
off.
okay. Wait. We were talking about this is the
movie
of event of the decade.
Yes.
Event of the decade. But like this is what we need to remember. Wicked is the most valuable property that Universal owns.
Mm-hmm.
Like NBC Universal. Now we're talking Bravo. We're talking USA.
USA, the USA
I can't even
Network.
say that with a straight face.
People get so mad at me because I refuse to believe that USA is a real network.
It's
I'm like, I
not.
won't watch it.
It
If
isn't.
it's on, listen, every time a new USA show comes on, I go, if it was a good show, they would have put it on CBS.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, even though that's not even, it would have been on
Right.
NBC.
It would have
So
been on
NBC, literally
NBC.
think about this. NBC, the home of Friends and
Mhm.
Seinfeld. Like, hello? Like,
Yeah.
that Wicked the musical was the largest IP that they had. Like, it was the most valuable because it's been on Broadway for so many years that it has made them so much money.
Mm-hmm.
And the prospect of making it a movie was valued at so much money. Like, we don't even, for all you like Robin Hood app downloaders that are like doing stocks and think that you're like investing, like, they've invested so much money into this movie knowing that the return was going to be so high. And when I tell you that, I know for a fact that Universal somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Universal Studios Florida or something else, we are going to be able to go on those sets. There's no doubt in my mind.
Oh, we
And if they're
have
not
to.
doing that, it's really fucking stupid.
It's really
because they need to.
because they built the entire Emerald City.
Like, you know how when we went out, like when you can go to like the Harry Potter world in
Yeah.
London and like go, and it was like the most incredible thing that I've ever been at in my life.
Yeah.
Like, they could do that with this
They
and
could
make
do it.
Again, Harry Potter makes so much money and it's over. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, there's like the game that I'm playing, the Hogwarts Legacy game that I'm so addicted to. I'm a crack cocaine addict for this game. Like,
You're not supposed to say out loud that you're playing the Hogwarts Legacy game.
I
We're all
know, but I
supposed to
am.
be playing
I got
in
it on sale.
secret.
Okay, I got it on sale for $20. So JK didn't get, she got like $2 of my money.
Okay.
So like, I'm allowed. I'm
You're
allowing
allowed.
myself.
If
And
you
you know
get
what?
it on clearance.
I trash her every chance that I get.
Yes, because
Like,
she's
so
awful.
yeah, I put on a list of people that I like wish death upon, basically, on my podcast. So
Yes.
that's hello. So Wicked is like the most valuable thing that they have. Why wouldn't this be the biggest movie of all time?
Also,
You know what I mean?
and I've been saying it for years, and I blame Disney and all of their fucking live action reboots or whatever, that CGI has ruined the movie experience for me.
Correct.
So everyone who's like doing color correction on Wicked clips and being like, wouldn't it be better in this Technicolor hellscape? And I'm like, no, that looks like Love Island. If I wanted to, there are countless seasons of Love Island I could watch.
When did you ever do this for like a Marvel movie?
Right. Also, that.
When did you ever, do you know what I mean? The nitpicking of it is, that's the theme of your podcast. Do you know what I mean?
It's the
like
theme
the
of my
nitpicking,
podcast.
like, I'm the color again. My biggest grievance was the lighting. And so it's like, I said, if that's my biggest grievance, then we're good to go. Because that's not a legitimate grievance. That's like when I need to say what I didn't like about it. It's when it's something technical.
Mhm.
It's like not that big of a deal. I mean, it is a big deal. Lighting is a huge deal, but like, I still watched the whole fucking movie and it was fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, color correction, people don't even, they think they know what color correction is and they don't. This film was not color corrected. It was lit and shot in a certain way to give it the feel that it was.
Right.
Period.
I love practical sets. I love practical makeup.
Why do I love Lord of the Rings so much? Because I could still today, in the year of our Lord 2024, go to New Zealand and like be at the Shire. Like, I could go stay in Frodo's house.
Yeah. It's on Airbnb.
Would I jump off of a bridge the next day because like, what is worth living for after I do that? Yes.
Okay, but new goals. We will be living in the Shire come January 2025. But yeah, we went and saw Red 1 when Wicked was sold out and we couldn't see Wicked, so we went and saw Red 1 and it was enjoyable despite the fact that you wanted to be at Wicked. And I'm convinced that they did special effects makeup instead of CGI for the Krampus scene. And then I was like, this is the best movie of all time. They
Yeah.
hired so many people to put different goblin masks on people. He's wearing an actual fucking Krampus costume, and Krampus is my favorite Christmas deity. I was like, sold. You've got me. You got
Yeah.
me.
No,
Yeah.
I'm telling. Okay, my big thesis when I was like, "What do you want to talk about?" Because I know what I want to talk about here.
Right.
When we were doing our, pre-chat,
Yes.
like we are returning to like skill,
Thank
like we are
God.
returning to like talent and like showcasing talent and like talent rising to the top
Mm-hmm.
versus like PR money generation.
Yes.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like even look at music. I mean, we're gonna go all over the place and like I'm sorry in advance, but like look at music. Like Chapel Roan, like we have Sabrina and Charlie. Charlie's worked so hard to get to this level.
Yeah.
Did I think Brat was her best album? No. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like at all? No. Do I even like any of the songs that much? Not really. But do I like she is I think she's way better. The
Charlie's a huge listener of the show, and now she's gonna call
self-titled
me
her self-titled
crying.
album where it's all duets with people, in my opinion, is like which was her main album, not like the remix album. I think is like some of her best songs ever. The song "Gone," first song on the album, incredible. Anyway, like the fact that Chapel Roan like had an album and then a whole year later, it's like a huge deal, and she's like a really good singer and technical. Again, not I'm cool and I'm hip. Is like, oh, I can actually do falsetto and then bring it over into like a belt and then bring it into like technical singing that we don't have anymore. Period. Like they skyrockets at the top. Sabrina Carpenter, very good lyrics and being able to weave in and out of lyrics and like actually again, espresso at the end of the day, it's like you can't sing it. You don't know all the words to espresso. You think that you do, you
Never.
don't. It's like
Never.
so intricate and like and regardless of all that, it's like they all rose to the top versus like even the younger like remember like Olivia Rodrigo, like great
She's
like
so good.
that's so talented. Every performance I've ever seen of her, like I was like great singer, really good. All these younger people that are like becoming really famous, they're not like love her to death, but it's not a Britney Spears situation where it's like we're gonna like make you into this and that. It is like, oh no, you just have a really fucking great voice and we're just gonna showcase that and you're gonna like do your bullshit that you want to do. But like,
This does tie in because Annie and I are in love with Ariana Grande. Okay, she's done
yeah,
some
she's
shit.
back. She's back.
She's broken some homes. Okay,
Sure. Too
she,
many. Honestly, a lot.
a
Yeah.
lot of homes.
Again, I have a whole episode about it. So you could go fixing famous people, Ariana Grande with Deanna Chang. There you go.
There you go. She's broken a lot of homes.
A lot.
She is currently betting SpongeBob, and I can't make my head make sense of it. But when you talk about talent, and then but you talk about the industry side of it too, she's the crossroads of that because when she was younger, she had managers and brands and Disney and Nickelodeon being like, you have to be this. So there's a lot that we have a hard time like forgiving Ariana about. But I always go, she was 17 and listening to a white man with money, promising her that she'd get money too. Like, we do bully our pop stars into
No, of course.
doing things.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello.
And I think go back, if you go back and listen to my, my number one played song this year on my Spotify Wrapped, One Last Time from like what is it? It's I don't even know. It's like called like My Everything, I think is the album. It's like she's still like a little girl,
Yeah.
basically. But that song is like one last time to make you home. If you go to like after the bridge of any of her songs from like, and again, Dangerous Woman is another really good example of this, and obviously Into You, all those like Dangerous Woman
Yeah.
songs that are like the ones that we know her as like her like white hot peak of fame. Go past the bridge to the last chorus where she then does her vocal riffs. There is not a person on this planet, minus maybe Mariah Carey if she wanted to try, that could sing the way that she could sing. When you hear One Last Time, like she got like one last, and she's like, take you home. Like she goes so high in a full belt, like a full belt, so high that is like no one could like. There's not a person on this planet that can do it. Like, so yes, for so long did she like want to stop singing and like be cool. She's the example of this. She started as the most pure raw talent, then wanted to just be a rapper, much like Beyonce. Do you know what I mean? She's like, I just don't want to sing anymore. I'm going to be a rapper. And it's like, okay, I guess we have to deal with this. And then she, for 4 albums, Ariana Grande like was like, I'm not going to sing. Like, I'll sing on like 2 songs, and then the rest of them are going to be me mumbling and just like being weird. And we're like, I guess this is what we have to do. And then this most recent album, which she did like zero press for because she was truly so busy making this movie that she didn't have time to do. I've listened to it so much. I think it's like so beautiful. And she actually sings and it's so gorgeous. And then like for her to just come out of the gate and knock this out of the park, it's like we are returning again. She's like returning to like, oh no, I'm a nerdy theater kid and there's like nothing wrong with that. And like, I'm actually just going to be above. And you know what it is? We're all over the place. Everyone in the fucking world is trying to be a cool person on Instagram. And so now it's like that's no because it's so everyone's doing it that it's not cool anymore because everyone that has internet access is like trying to be a celebrity on Instagram and like and TikTok. And so now it's like, oh wait, I actually like being in a blockbuster Hollywood movie actually is really cool because like none of you could get here because you're just on TikTok and you have like you might have 500 million followers on TikTok, but you like live in your house and don't do anything.
It was exactly this time last year that I walked out of a movie theater after seeing Anyone But You, texted you, I love Sydney Sweetin. I want her career. Sweeney, yes. God damn.
I love Jodie Sweetin.
We love Jodie Sweetin.
I mean, we love her too, but that's not who it was.
But that's not who it was.
I love Sydney Sweeney.
I love Sydney Sweeney. I want her. I love that she serves cunt on the daily. I want her cunty ass on everything that I'm ever watching. However, I'm a year into this whole trend of giving nothing while I'm in a movie. And I'm like, no, I need you to give something because Glenn Powell's doing all the work and now I got to stick up for him.
Yeah.
Like I'm over giving nothing.
You're making me have to defend him for this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though, it's worked up until now. I did not see that movie, but like, I'm not going to lie, her, when she was in White Lotus, it was, I mean, no one does it better than her, I will say.
And I've always had this idea that, well, and our arch nemesis Bradley Cooper technically did this too, that you do really stupid give me money things in the beginning of your career
to like amass wealth.
Yes, to amass wealth, and then you do whatever the fuck you want. My favorite Lady Gaga album is Joanne. It's no one else's.
No, you're like truly, it's not even hers. It's like,
it's not even hers.
No one's. Yeah,
it's about her dead aunt, and she's like, I'm over it.
Yeah,
I love it. And it was her, no, I'm sick of doing the rah and wearing meat album. Like it was like, I'm a real person now. I'm a
yeah, if you forgot, I'm actually a real human being. Yeah. Like, did you? Yeah. Well, but the thing that's crazy is like, this is Ariana's version of that. Exactly. Doing whatever the fuck she wants is actually being in like the largest movie of the year, if not the decade.
Exactly. And what I found out was I walked away so blown away by how often I laughed at her because she's genuinely funny.
No, I'm like, every line. when we were at the screening where they came out, like at the DGA, every time that she spoke, the whole theater erupted in laughter.
Of course.
Yeah.
And because you said after you went, well, she's clearly like, doing her version of Kristin Chenoweth because that was her hero, that was her idol, whatever. Yes. Of course she was going to go that route. It would be stupid to not go that route. That's the Glinda we all have in our heads, no matter who we saw do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so, she'll just, she'll be Kristin Chenoweth version 2 and I won't be devastated, but I won't be impressed. But when I say that, like, you really should have hit home on how she makes it her own.
Yeah.
I'm like, Oscar, give her.
I don't think there is one person that is like even remotely in the running more than her.
No,
for real. I don't think Cynthia Erivo will win one just because like the other people that will get nominated, like they'll either give. I think that they're either going to give Pamela Anderson like a career Oscar for that movie, which P.S. I'm here for my pants over that cast in that movie. I did not realize all those people were in it. I'm like fucking hyped for that movie. But they'll either give her that or they're going to give one to Angelina Jolie for this Maria movie, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just don't think Cynthia's going to get it. Yeah. But like, I just don't think she's going to get it. And her performance is so much more subtle.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you really pay attention to it, like it makes so much sense. And like even in The Wizard and I, like in the beginning, you're
Oh,
like, oh, this is she's like not really singing it. You know what I mean? Because it is again a movie version. Doesn't she doesn't need to be belting, but like when at the beginning, you're like, oh, but you're watching her through the song
yeah.
gain confidence in being able to voice what her like deepest, darkest wish is.
Yeah.
And then by the end, when she's alone and she's able to belt it out at the very end, like you're like, oh, that was a performance.
The little touches that both Cynthia and Ariana give throughout the movie, truly, just because I'm recalling them, are already giving me chills again. But like every time Cynthia chose to wink or half smile at Ariana, because it's like, yeah, Glinda was mean right there, but we're doing our flirty thing, so I'm gonna smile about it.
Yeah.
Like there were such nuanced, small choices that real professionals make when they're like, we're making the movie of the decade.
And it's like not stunty. Like
No,
it wasn't like in every single way that apparently they were going to do like a hip hop
a hip
version
hop.
of Popular, and Ariana Grande was like absolutely not. Like
No,
she
will I
was
be
like
doing that?
even the ending part that's different where that it keeps going up.
Hmm.
She didn't want to do that, and like the guy that like wrote all the music, which by the way is the guy that goes, "The Wizard will see you now." He's the one that wrote all the songs from Wicked,
Yeah.
and he was in our panel. He said like I gave her this new version of the song, and she said, you just wrote this because I'm Ariana Grande and I will not be singing this. Like, how dare you? And he said, if I knew I could have written this song this way whenever it started, this would be the song. I'm not doing this because you are a pop star. I'm doing this because it's a better version of this song.
Yeah.
And she was like, are you lying to me? And he was like, no. And then she was like, okay, I'll do it.
Well, the first, so
Like
I,
that, sorry, I'm like, but
no,
like that, her being like, no, I will
no.
not allow you to make it be my version of this. Like, I'm just doing what is there is
Yes.
like, like so fucking smart.
Yes. You know
Go
that
ahead.
Leanne Rhymes has a version
How
of
dare you bring her up right now? But go
number
ahead.
one, I love Leanne
Oh,
Rhymes.
yeah, I know. Yes, you do. You're right.
Have tried to go to fix her on your podcast, and you're like, Natalie, there's bigger fish to
Yeah,
fry.
we do have bigger fish to fry. Sadly, we might need to do that as a good bonus episode.
Sorry. You were standing right next to me when we got a perfect score.
100% singing
100.
how, yeah.
How do I
Anyway,
live?
sorry, go ahead.
But did you know that she has her own version of For Good? I know because I accidentally put the Wicked album on shuffle. And all of a sudden I'm like, this isn't right. Who is this?
Why? Why?
It's my
What
girl
is?
Leanne.
What's happening?
What's happening?
Is it
Leanne called
good?
it.
She's a
No,
great singer, so like, oh, it's not good. Okay.
my sister and I listened to it after my nephew's like uh ear, nose, and throat appointment. We were like driving home. I was like, put on the Wicked soundtrack. Let's see what songs he likes.
Like that's what happened.
And
Yeah.
that's what happened. And I'm like, well, this is a choice and this is a way to do it.
That's so
Interesting.
strange.
So I get what she's saying about like, I took this job because I want to honor Glinda. I want to be Galinda. I want to lose myself into Galinda. And also, like, what a way to come into your career where you started on Nickelodeon licking your own feet
Yeah,
for,
being just
yeah,
yeah, being literal like child porn for
yeah,
sick adults, basically. Yeah,
yeah,
not of your own doing.
not of your own doing. Not able to say yes or no to anything that's going on ever, to then be looking at the person who wrote the music for Wicked and being like, I'm not doing that, but thank you. Like, it's powerful. Also, I saw part of the press tour where they gave them the scripts and he doesn't, and in the original script, he doesn't say the wizard will see you now. He says, who goes there, or something like that. Well, who is this? And says something like shittier and snarkier. And Ariana called Cynthia and was like, did you see how they changed the script? Do they not know that that's iconic? Because
I
it's
know.
an
I love that they like were like, oh no, we will like
we
fuck
will
your shit up.
we
Yeah.
will fuck your shit up. You will do this right. and I love when people know the subject material. I love when people know what lines are going to make me, the person who went on Free Popcorn Tuesday, get chills and take me back to when I'm 15.
Also, like how dare they change that line? It's like
Also
it's
that.
the climax of that entire song.
Yeah. Yes. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm a little upset that he doesn't slam a door after it because that's how the line goes. He goes, "The wizard will see you now." And then there's like a bang. Like he
Yeah,
either
yeah.
has like a little staff thing that he hits or he slams the door. I can't remember which. But yeah, they were going to change that line. And they were like, "Excuse me, everyone who's lived this musical since they were 7 years old is going to know that you did that. And they're gonna be mad."
Yeah, I would have been mad. I would
Yeah.
have been like, why'd they do it? And they really didn't change like anything. That's the
No.
thing, is like there were very few things that they changed. The only thing that they didn't do was, spoiler, whenever she gives all the monkeys wings, like
Mm-hmm.
in the stage show, then like there's like a monkey that's like wrestling under a blanket, and she goes to take the blanket off and like free the monkey, and it's
Yeah.
actually Dr. Dillamond. Which,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
we never that didn't happen, but she sees visions of him, like she sees those visions of him like in the cage, and that was the only part that was like different. And so the way that she realizes, like,
There were also so such small incidents where I was like, "Oh, that's you honoring my play," because they do make sure to include. Do you remember when the flying monkeys happen on stage and it's literally a screen and it's just a million flying monkeys going
yeah,
up and down on a
yes,
screensaver? They
yeah.
did that in the windows. I was like, "Thank you for my
Yeah,
dopamine
yeah, yeah,
hit."
yeah. On a screensaver. It like was a
It
screensaver.
was a screensaver.
And like other people, like someone was like, "Oh, like not every movie needs to have a jump scare," and was trying to like hate on it. And I was like, "That's not a reason to not like this movie."
What the
Like, are you
hell?
fucking kidding me?
Also, the flying monkeys have always been scary from day one.
Yeah,
They're scary.
duh.
Duh. They're scary in the original fucking movie. Ah. Because I
I
don't know if you know this, but I grew up in the only town in the United States of America who has a Wizard of Oz Fest.
Oh, I did know this.
Yeah, okay. We've talked about my trauma.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you have.
We've talked about my trauma. Okay, great. So I know exactly how scary those monkeys are.
I to go back quickly to like talent, like so like her, like, I'm gonna do whatever I want, like we said with Ariana Grande, is like I'm gonna be Glinda and like be a theater nerd and not be like a cool bitch that sings a song "Break Up with Your Boyfriend" because I'm bored, even though it's her like life motto. Like that
Honestly.
is so cool. And then for Cynthia to have this moment to then this is truly her star turn. Like
Yes.
she's been in the wings and we've like known who she is, and she has performed at the Oscars, and she's like done so many things, and like she's one award away from an EGOT, but like this is like she is now a household name for the rest of her life because of this movie.
I'm in love with her. One of the feedbacks that I keep getting about the movie is that Cynthia herself is just so weird as a person. And I unhinged my jaw and I'm like, do you mean ethereal? Do you mean not of this world? She doesn't live on your plane of existence because she's above it. Like, you know that my life motto is if you are actually more talented than me, you get to act more talented than
Yes,
me.
correct.
Like, and that's Cynthia. Why should she ever have to not be a weirdo for me?
Well, and a lot of people too, it's very funny because like
Gorgeous.
I've been comparing it because a lot of people have been asking me, like, oh, what do you think of like Ariana Grande's weight? Like she looks so skinny.
I know.
And I'm like, one, yes, she does. But if this was Daniel Day Lewis or Christian Bale that had to lose like 100 pounds for a role, we would be like jizzing our pants and like beating off to them, like losing all that weight and saying that they're like such serious actors.
Oh,
But
the
like
method acting of it all. Like, when are we getting Ariana's real voice back? Number one, we've never had it. What is her real voice? I'd love for someone to tell me.
the number of like TikToks that I fucking piss myself over, where that people are like Blackiana core, they call her, when she was like quote unquote being black, and she is like, it's really bad,
Yeah,
but
it's bad.
she's like whatever, she's like, get your ass over here, like her like weird accent that it's like not
Yeah,
a black accent, but it is like,
but it
and
is.
it like is, but it's not, but it is, and you're like, what's happening? And she's so dark.
Uh
And you're
huh.
like they've for years people have made up like that she's like racially ambiguous, quote
Uh
unquote,
huh.
like, but like as a slam, not as like
Right.
because she like could
Not a
be anything.
sleigh.
It's like here's when she was Asian, here's when she was white, here's when she was like, and it's like you're like looking at it, and you're like, oh my god, this is like real and funny, like because it's so bad, and like we never have had her real
We've
voice
never
ever,
had
and
it.
two, like Okay, and like what? Okay, you're not. She's
Okay.
clearly mentally ill and is like stuck in this role, and like
She
that's hello.
she had to lick her own feet, not even for real iCarly, for the spinoff of iCarly, on the internet spinoff of the spinoff of iCarly. Okay? That's what she had to do. And then we all watched a documentary about it.
Yeah,
We all
like
watched a documentary about it. That man still walking around Nickelodeon
no,
studios.
bopping to and fro somewhere.
Yeah,
Like, I so like that's what I'm saying is like, oh, when it's her, it's like, oh, this is like she took this role so seriously, and it's annoying. And yes, are they being absolutely insufferable? Like in the press tour? Yes, of course they are. Like, duh, like yeah, but like when this is like another movie that's like oh when Wolverine and Deadpool was happening, not that they got that much press, but it's like where people like, oh my god, they're so annoying, or like was anyone like, oh, Hugh Jackman is like probably on steroids because of his body? Do you know what I mean? Like,
right.
no one said anything about any of that.
Except for me. I said Ryan Reynolds was annoying because I believe he's annoying
Yeah, sure.
every day.
But like, do you know what I mean? It's like we don't ever like make that a negative thing when it has to do with like men losing or gain. When Brendan Fraser gained all that weight to play the whale, we gave him a fucking Oscar for
We did.
it.
And we cried and we stood up and applauded him for 15 minutes
For being fat.
for being fat and sad. And he was already sad.
Yeah.
Like, and I love Brendan Fraser and I only
Same.
want nice things
But
for
I'm just saying,
him.
like, we like bowed down to him because he did all that. But when it's a woman, it's negative.
Oh, the try hard curse that follows women on everything they do. It makes me second guess every podcast episode that I put out, every TikTok that I make. Also, the reason why they're geeked and the reason why they're crying the entire time is because it didn't hit me that Wicked is the first movie that's really about female friendship that we've had in a while,
A long time.
a long time, until people were posting about it. And I was like, you know what's so weird? I grew up only watching female friendships in film. Like I was a Now and Then.
Yeah,
I
sure,
was
sure.
Clueless, like name them all, Practical Magic. Any movie that had more women, and I can't even remember what men besides Devon Sawa were in them. That's what I was watching.
I think that the last one, if you really think about it, the last one that was like this big was Bridesmaids.
Honestly,
No,
because
and that was like I was in college when that movie came out.
and my sister made fun of me and she's like, "You mean when all of a sudden in the 2000s?" Cuz I like put Clueless in the early 2000s in there and she's like, "You mean Mean Girls where it's all just girls being bitchy to one another?" And I was like, "But that's part of girlhood friendship."
Yeah, and
Like,
it's also the singular movie that defined our the millennial generation, in my
correct.
opinion.
Correct. There's there's this complexity to number one, like let's not I know that Jonathan Bailey's 40 or something. I don't know. 36? I know he's old. Like he's
Is
older.
he?
Yeah, they said, I love shiz where you can be a 35-year-old going to college.
He's
But
36. He's
he's
36.
36. So he's my age. But imagine
God,
me
he's so hot. I'm
in
just looking at pictures.
college.
He's the hottest person
He's
alive.
the hottest person alive. And also funny in this movie. But does no one remember what their friendships were like in their early 20s? Because let me tell you, I had my own what is this feeling moment in the break room of the McDonald's that I was employed at, and someone was playing the soundtrack during their break, and it was the girl who I was kind of friends with, but I also kind of hated, and we each took a part. And we
Yeah,
just like
period.
belted
Yeah.
it in the McDonald's because that's girlhood friendship. Like,
Yeah.
and she did steal a man that I had a crush on. And then I, 6 years later, stole her ex man. And that's girlhood friendship. I don't know. That's part of it. And so I I find it so odd that Wicked keeps being talked about as like the girlhood friendship movie of our decade, because I'm like, that's all I used to watch. When did all of the women stop being in movies?
This is the thing. Here's the other reason why this movie is so good. And I will talk about going to see Gypsy on Broadway. I will get there. The everything from like 2010 on, even I was thinking about with theater as well, like everything needed to be this like alt different like dark version of like that whatever this thing is. Like think about like 2010 to like even like 2008-ish was even there. It's like here's this like alt version. Like remember like Sleep No More? Remember when that was like a huge trend of like going to these immersive theater things? It was always like this dark reimagining of like a Shakespearean play, or like, oh, here's like this musical, but it's actually about like it's like Battlestar Galactica the musical with like I'm making that up, but like, do you know what I'm saying? Like of like this alt dark version of it. It was like pushing the boundaries of like what theater is and like what film is in the sense of like here's this dark reimagining of blank like
Yes.
thing. Do you know what I'm saying?
Garth Brooks changed his name and put out an alternative rock album. Chris
Thank
Gaines.
You. Thank you. Like that was for so long was like the prevalent thing to be cool.
Yeah. Yes.
And now I feel like especially this year it's like no, actually we just want like a very well done version of like something that we really cherish and it just be that. And that is what this movie is. It is not this like dark reimagining of like Wicked. It just is Wicked.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's not, it is just simply the musical turned into a very well done movie.
Without cheapening anything, because
or like changing things again just to change them and be
right.
different and like subvert your expectation.
When I was 15, by the way, I had to text Chris after my first viewing of Wicked. It's not that I forgot about the animal rights subplot,
No.
and yet it took me by surprise. And I cried.
What did you say? It was like the way that I love this like non-existent like the goat, or what did you say?
The way that I would die for the CGI goat.
Who's actually what's his name? Yeah.
Peter Dinklage, who I have a huge thing for. I have a huge thing for Peter Dinklage.
I also love that they like didn't trot him out. Like no pun intended, did not trot him out to like the premieres where because he would be like, why the fuck am I here?
Why
like
am I here? I'm the goat. I'm the goat.
He came in for 2 days and just did his lines and it was great.
That they didn't have like human Peter Dinklage like lead a protest or something. Like he wasn't and no one mourns the Wicked.
No, not at all. Not even he was like absolutely not.
Absolutely will I not
or it wasn't like his face on a CGI goat. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a goat that looks like him. Like there's so many ways that it could have been terrible and it wasn't. Anyway.
But when I was 15 and before things like misogyny and men and capitalism and Christianity beat the hell out of me and I became the woman that is sitting on this call today, I was just a 15-year-old going to the theater for the first time with her friend and her friend's mom and being swept away by the magic that was Oz. And like, I was so dumb, Chris. You know the dragon that sits on top of the stage? Because it had like a barrel nose. I was like, what is that, a cow? And they're like, that's the dragon clock. And I was like, oh. And they're like, pretty big deal. And I'm like, okay. I never thought that deeply about the story of Wicked, even after reading the book for all of the Munchkin sex. I was like, what? Dark themes? Who knew? But they honored my whimsy from when I was 15 with also, Natalie, aren't you devastated about what's coming down the pipe in 2025? And I was like, yeah, Cynthia, a little.
Yes.
Like, yeah, Galinda, a little. When people tell me that they just don't get it, they're like, what's going on? I don't even get this movie. I'm like, here's the thing. When I sat there by myself on a Tuesday afternoon and Cynthia Erivo was singing Defying Gravity, I was like, I don't know how better to explain what it feels like to be begging your friends to want better for themselves than the SpongeBob motherfuckers that they have, than the men who are mean, the men who are cheating, the men who are literally just losers, and just screaming at them unlimited. If we all told them no, we could be unlimited. And for them, and then for the data to come in and see that a majority of the women that you go to the grocery store every day who are white women voted for Trump. I'm like, that's what it feels like. It feels like you're the person being like, oh no, I'm doing this. I'm flying away on the broom to go live in the West with my monkeys. And the white women are like, I don't know, like Jeff Goldblum is quite charming. And like,
Well, and also like what's not to get, like how do people, if you don't understand what the theme of the movie, I'm concerned for your mental state. Like it's pretty spelled out for you.
The way that Ariana, for all that she is and all that her past contained, Asian,
Yeah, no, yeah,
black accents,
yeah,
spray tans, by the way.
because she is a woman of the world and from every continent.
Right?
Yes.
Because she is every woman, it's all in her. Ariana gave such nuance to this role of what do you do when your friend is too scared to take the leap with you and turn their back on all of the things that have technically made her successful and safe and pretty. And, it's not easy turning your back on privilege to be like, sure, I'll live in the desert with
Yeah.
you on this broom.
Well, and that's like not what she wants. That's the other thing about this is that like the point of the story is that it's like these two people both want something and then they both go to try to get it. And then once Cynthia realizes that the thing that she's wanted the whole time, which we learn in her what they call a want song, WANT, which is The Wizard and I. That's a musical theater term, people. It's to like understand what the driving force of your main character is the want song. She wants to meet the wizard so that he can fix her life. And then she realizes, oh, you actually don't have any power and I am more powerful than you. So now what do I even want with my life?
Right. It's when you realize that you're smarter than all of your male bosses and you're
Yeah.
the person doing all the work.
And then but that's the thing is Glinda wants to be famous. Glinda wants to have power and be truly like Glinda the Good.
Yes.
Like I think that she really does want, and it's not in a mean way. It's in a she thinks that that's what she wants. That will give her what she wants.
And it's the reason why you see so many women get real close, make themselves comfortable within patriarchy and misogyny is because you don't know how to feel powerful. So Glinda's like, I'll be in a pretty bubble and I'll marry Fiyero and everything will be perfect. And that song's coming in part 2.
I also think too, if you really think about it, and I don't even, because it's like, I know we're giving spoilers for people that don't know the musical like that, but it's like, it really is that thing of like, do I work from the outside as like a protester or do I work from the inside to get what I want? Do you know what I mean? Like, which is again, a very much like something that's very in the zeitgeist right now.
Well, and it's also, if my friends are several beats behind me on where I am in the fight or the cause or the radicalization
or
of
just
my
like
life,
my own, my own betterment or whatever.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's even by the end of the movie, it's even driving a wedge between Glinda and Fiyero because now all of a sudden Fiero's like, I could hold a sign, I could carry a trafficked cheetah. Why not?
Yeah, trafficked cheetah.
I could do that. And so even Galinda's like, I don't even know how to talk to Fiyero anymore. He's so political.
Well, she says like he's been thinking.
He's
like,
been thinking
again on the floor.
awful.
Like on the floor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot right now that I've been struggling with for an entire year of like, what do you do when your friends are still so behind? Like so behind the idea of a world that doesn't revolve around capitalism and money and men holding you down and all of it. And I was like, that's what defying gravity is to me. It's like, no, please come follow me. Oh, you won't? Okay. I'm still gonna sing For Good at part 2. It's fine.
But I think not to turn this into a therapy session, but I think it's like you have to meet people where they are. Like you can't, that person has to do it themselves.
Right, exactly.
Because again, like just like the movie, it's like Glinda's like, no, this isn't my dream. It's your dream.
Exactly.
And so now like you need to do that and I need to do that. And that doesn't mean that it's actually funny because in so many, and I feel like in so many shows, especially in the last 5 years, and I think Broad City is like the crown jewel of this. It's a show about people in a codependent relationship and how it's terrible. I think another version of this is from way back is Seinfeld, like Jerry and George being in a codependent relationship is I think like the maybe the blueprint of it, but like in the last 10 years, like in the 2010s, it's Broad City.
It's Broad City.
And
Yeah.
then like all the other like offshoot versions of that are like kind of born out of the success of that show. But like this is actually a movie about them not having a codependent relationship.
Right.
They actually both go their separate ways to see what they can do and like what will happen to them.
Yeah. And my big thing that I've been saying every time I'm mad is, well, you can't save them all. And that came up in James McAvoy's last movie, Speak No Evil, where they left a woman behind because she was still siding with James McAvoy. And I looked at my sister's best friend of many years and I went, you can't fucking save them all. And she went, well, that's dark. And I was like, and yet it's the one lesson I've learned.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you just have to do you need to do what you do that keeps your soul intact. And for Elphaba, it was, yeah, she probably could have like wormed her way in good with the wizard and then taken him down or assassinated him or whatever. And instead she was like, I don't even want to spend time with him. Like I'm not no, I'm not into this. And the theme of the movie being, are you born wicked or is wickedness thrusted upon you, is so, I think it's way more powerful in the movie than it is in the stage adaptation. I think they hit it harder.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Well, I haven't seen the musical in a while.
I kind of feel like that part, because to me, like when I think of Wicked, I think of like, are people born wicked or do they have wickedness thrust upon them? And that is kind of like a throwaway line in the movie. And that to me is like sets up the entire story. And like they don't even have it on when they show that line, it's on a shot of like the poster of like the witch. Like they don't even show Ariana saying that. And I feel like that I was like that was one thing I was like, oh, that could have been different, because that to me is like the entire
movie
theme of the thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like
everyone, because the whole thing is like you make the choice. Like the thing, because how do I say this? When it first came out, it was like, oh, we're reimagining the story of the Wicked Witch of the West. Right. Now Wicked has become its own whole thing. That's like, we know these characters, and like Elphaba has now become more famous than the Wicked Witch of the West and the Wizard of Oz, in my opinion, for people still alive, like for us. Whereas in the Wizard of, like at the time of it coming out, it was like so novel that it was like this reimagining of the Wizard of Oz as like the prequel to Wizard of Oz, which then was born like the Star Wars prequels and like the Hobbit movies and like all that, you know what I mean? Like it, like all these like prequels are like was a huge thing at the time. And so it's like we almost forget that because it is the story of Wicked that is like, it's just been so normalized to be that. Whereas like when it first came out, that was the whole point, was like, is the Wicked Witch of the West actually bad? Okay, so in Beowulf, there's a monster called Grendel. And I remember that when we read Beowulf in high school, people were like, oh, they did this really cool version where it's from Grendel's perspective. And it's like a different book that's like from the monster's perspective. And like, that's what Wicked is this same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, and again, at the time that was like all and cool and different and like,
oh, I loved a twisted fairy tale. I loved a fairy tale from a different point of view. When I was a kid, part of the reason I was a big reader is because we lived through the age of them just revamping. Now it's Beauty and the Beast, but he's a lion, and it's like,
yes, yeah. That's what I'm, yeah. And I'm so glad that they like didn't do any of that in this.
Right. Yeah.
It wasn't this thing that was, it was truly just like, this is the musical on film with hundreds of millions of dollars put behind it. Do you know what I mean? Like with like,
well, and I think also what doesn't always, because I go back and forth on the villain retellings, because we're getting a Scar one. They named it the Mufasa movie, but I think what it's going to end up doing is making us all
be about Scar.
Yeah, we're going to be like, fuck.
Mufasa Scar was an asshole. Yeah.
Fuck, Scar got. Like,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Oh, brother. Also, did anyone ask for this movie?
No.
No.
And
Like,
I would have gone if they had done cute Disney animation, but they did the fucking live action shit, so I'm not going. And I don't care how many songs
okay.
Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote. I'm not going. Every once in a while, I get real Republican about shit, and I'm like, villains shouldn't be able to be redeemed.
Yeah.
like Scar did some shit and it was bad, and I don't want to know his tragic uh life story. But with Elphaba, I was sold. And I think that Cynthia does a really great job of humanizing her because of those small moments where she's showing on her face that this is hard for her too. I think when I listen to Idina do it, it leans more on the proud and the stubborn. And Cynthia continuously shows me, hey, this is hard for me too. It's hard being the good guy being made out to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen these videos of Idina Menzel singing? Not to malign this woman, but when she, and like all this to say, like Defying Gravity is like one of the hardest songs to sing ever. And like the Frozen song, like I don't know if anyone can actually really sing the song. Like it's so hard to sing that Let It Go. Like that song is so high and so crazy. But do you see where she's singing and it's like, let the storm rage, and she doesn't hit
Yeah.
it, and she like tries like 6 times, and it's so embarrassing.
I've always wanted to know, hey, not don't have Dominic come after me, but like even Cher's voice eventually started to show its age. And like Dolly Parton's voice, like your vocal
No,
cords
sure, yeah,
age.
of course, of course, of course, of course.
I would love to know what women who, because Shania Twain has aged out of her hits, like what do you do to keep your vocal cords?
Well, Celine had to do like she would do like a saline thing every like
Yes,
you have to like
you have to
do
steam.
such maintenance on it, and like she can't sing it, and it's like it was so embarrassing.
I'm sure
She
it
like keeps
was.
trying to hit the note, and then she's like, "You guys couldn't do it either." Like I was like, "Oh!" And even on the press tour, like Adina is like, like looks just like so miffed by the whole thing, whereas like Kristen is like, "I love them. There are girls." But like the few times that Adina is like the four of them, she looks like just so like miserable.
Could you
Is she
imagine?
okay?
No, because it's hard aging in this industry, especially in Broadway. I mean, you did just see Gypsy with Audra,
Oh,
right?
okay, we'll get there, but yes, continue.
But it's hard. It's a hard industry. But then I think of like Sunset Boulevard and how crazy that main character was, and I was like, no, that is what happens to you. You go Grey Gardens.
But like she's not. But this is the thing. It's like she was in. I mean, she's like a Broadway legend.
Yes.
Like period for this role and so many others.
Were you a Rent kid too?
Yeah, of course. She's like the original what character and one of the original characters in
Maureen.
Rent. Oh yeah, it is
Maureen.
Maureen.
And
Maureen,
she's
yeah.
Maureen in the movie.
She's also the Wild Party, like is a musical. It's like a lesser known one, but like she's the original Wild Party, and she sings one of the best songs in theater ever called "The Life of the Party," about how she's just like a drunken slut, and she just
Yes.
like she's like as long as I'm like partying, like I'll do whatever, and like as long as that party keeps going, we're good to go. And like, don't you want to feel like this? It's such a good song, and like I almost think that it seems to me
Do you feel like she feels shelved?
she feels like she's like, I did all this amazing stuff and like none of you care.
Idina, I'm talking directly to you right now. I do
We
care.
care.
We
Yeah. Like,
care. Take Me or Leave Me was my MySpace song. When
yeah,
you clicked on
period.
my
Of
MySpace,
course it was.
it was Take Me or Leave Me. because
But
I,
like, yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. She just seems, I don't know what's going on with her, but like, it's, I don't know. When I look at some of the YouTube, now that my YouTube algorithm has been wrecked and it's not just ASMR videos anymore of like people getting massaged, and now it's like everything about Wicked ever. There's like all these things of her performing, and I'm like, she sounds terrible.
well, that's why I was going to get tickets to Shania Twain's last tour. And my friend texted me and she's like, you need to look this tour up on
Yeah, like you need to
TikTok.
get eyes on this. Yeah.
She's like, because she's not finishing. And because I was going to take my mom, and I told mom, I go, this isn't how we want to
No, no,
remember
you can't. No,
Shania.
that's why I'm nervous to ever go see Celine again because I'm like, is she going to be
I
stiff?
know.
Like, do you know what I mean? It's like I might have seen the last good one ever.
Yeah. It's a weird thing to be a woman who was born in 1988 and knew everything about these older women and is like, well, I'll never get to see good Cher. I
Yeah.
don't get good Cher. Fuck. Like, I don't get to live when good, like, I'll never get to see the Beatles. Fuck. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I bet you it's just that, like, because you're right. She's technically not to the point where she would be aging out of the industry, but she's not also in the part of her life where she's hot for roles on the industry. You know what
But
I'm
again,
saying?
there's all these videos on the internet of her singing badly. Like,
Badly.
do you know what I mean? And I'm like, ooh, like I Love Lucy right into the camera. You know what I mean? I'm like,
Ugh.
it's not great. However, she's doing some new musical that's like all built around her. That's like coming out in like next month
Well,
or
maybe she's
something.
just egotistical and that's why Tay Diggs left her.
Slam.
Slayer. Look at me fighting women on my own
I mean,
podcast.
you never know. No, but there's like it's
Yeah.
palpable. Like
Yeah.
when the four of them are together, that she's like the odd one out.
I hate that because I
I know
do
I don't
love
like it either.
Idina.
I know, but I don't. I feel that she's not giving the love
I
that
know.
Kristen's like being a lunatic because she
Like
is
a
one.
mommy. Yeah.
Yeah, like she is such a lunatic, but but Adina's like,
I don't know. It is. I think it's honestly harder to be 40 in the industry than it is to be 60 in the
yeah,
industry.
sometimes
Cause like Jane Fonda can play anyone's
do whatever
mom.
she's
Yeah.
like 80 almost. How old is she? She's like almost 80 years old, or she
Yeah,
is
she
80.
is. She is
Yeah,
80. Yeah. I don't know.
but okay. So to get to Gypsy really quickly,
Yes. Audra.
again, back to my thesis of this episode. We went to Gypsy. Audra McDonald playing the titular role of, not even the titular role, actually. It's actually not the titular role, but the main character, Mama Rose.
Mama Rose.
Many people were like, can she sing this? And because it like is, but like her voice is very different. She's not a
Yeah.
belter. They are correct in thinking that way. And I will say that the two biggest songs of the show, like she does do her version of them versus, which I'm fine with because she's not Patti LuPone or she's not a belter. Do you know what I mean? Like she does a different, her voice is more delicate. And I will tell you, just to get not, I'll get in the weeds for 2 seconds. Her version of Everything's Coming Up Roses is, in my opinion, I was the most blown away by that than any person that I've ever seen perform it. And that's kind of a throwaway song. It's not a throwaway song, but it's the end of the first act. And it's like, just like she's so excited about it. But this version that she does it is like, she's like, I have to make this work because if I don't, like, what am I like? Like, she's more frantic and more like, this is my only hope. And you feel she
Oh,
acts the shit out of this. Like,
God.
I'm like, you will win a Tony 100% because just she does it in a way that I've never seen before. And again, this isn't like, ooh, it's like this bold, weird take where like three black girls are going to be the leads of this musical. Like, it's just simply Gypsy in the same time. They just are black.
It's
Period.
not
Do you know what I mean? It's
Queen Latifah's version of Steel Magnolias.
no, it is not. No. But do you know what I'm saying? It's just like,
Yeah.
it is a well done version of this thing. And again, like you feel it. You feel that all through the musical of like, this is them. And they're like these black girls that are fighting so badly to get stage time and they won't get it. Like they didn't need to change any of it. It was so well done because they didn't have to. It was a very well done version of something that we all love. When I tell you the people in the audience were like, this is my favorite musical, myself included. This is my favorite musical. I can't wait. Everyone is like, everyone's talking. Everyone's so jazzed. Everyone's so excited. And they get on that stage and when I tell you, they just knock them dead number after number. And the audience was rabid. Rabid. Like when she finished Rose's turn at the end, we all stood up and gave her a standing ovation. People were screaming bloody murder.
I love her.
And people in the front row getting like almost getting on stage basically because we were up so much. When every single main character came on the set for the first time, it was like Meryl Streep was that. Like it was like as if even the younger girls who were like these two really good girls that were on The Notebook, like when Louise and June, like the adult versions came out, applauded. We were like going crazy. They're like nobody, like they're not that famous. You know what I mean? Like they're both so talented, but like they're not a household name, Audra McDonald. And we were screaming bloody murder for them. It was, we are hitting the return of well done classic that is like led by talent, not Chicago, not I love, I love her, but like not Ariana Madix in Chicago, not
But did you see her at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade? Because she's come a long way.
sure. But like not, do you know what I mean? Not Christy Brinkley in Chicago, which I saw and wanted to kill myself. Okay.
Well, you know what my hot take on Chicago
What?
is that Roxy was built for women who can't sing.
Yeah,
Because think of it, like
it is.
the story should revolve around a woman who has no star power and literally goes to jail trying to find
I mean,
fame.
none of the songs actually are that talented.
No. Mm-mm. Velma does all the talent.
We are again, we are returning to not this like weird steampunk version of blah 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 show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or like
Yeah.
this one, but it's all like different genders playing the different roles of the. Do you know what I mean? How they always try to do like weird things to for publicity, like just for no reason. Or like we're doing like this, but this person this time is like a secretary instead of like a counter girl. You know what I mean? Where they like change it to be like present day or stuff like that. Don't need it. Are ready for just like the classics done again extremely well, period.
And I think Cynthia and Ariana, and again, who knew? Who knew Ariana Grande would be an actress who could contain multitudes of nuance?
Not me.
There's some face work she's doing in No One Mourns the Wicked. She's doing that thing where you hold your face really still, but it's because you're upset and you're just trying to be like, uh-huh.
Oh no, and you feel it and you feel it in the show. Like you feel it in that number where you see that she doesn't know what's really like she's like, I guess I'm gonna throw
Dang.
this like torch and burn my friend's effigy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then she's like, well, I have to do this. This is what I've, and again, it's like you see that, and we know because we know the story.
Yes.
Like, I've chosen this. And so now I have to like go full in. And she's like, well, there's nothing left to do about it. And so I have to throw it. You know what I mean? I have to like throw the.
And well, and for anyone who doesn't know the show and know what's coming up, please know that there are no happy parts in part two. They put all of the bad
Like,
parts,
at
they
all.
put all the sad parts in the second movie.
I actually think, but this is the thing. I actually think that because I don't really love the second half of the show. I don't think it's like good, but it's like the first part is exponentially better. But I actually think that the movie will make it better.
Oh, for sure. So what are your favorite songs before you went and saw the movie? Like, what were your bangers from the soundtrack?
The Wizard and I,
Okay.
obviously Defying Gravity, but like that's we're
Sure.
putting that aside. And then probably Popular.
Okay. Mine were always What Is This Feeling? Because I'm petty.
Yeah.
And I hate a lot of people. And then from Act Two, it's always For Good. And like, I think of For Good when like an exponential, like today when I was singing For Good, I was like, and later on, I'm going to be recording with Chris, and he's changed my life. Chelsea's changed my life. Like, it's such a, like, if you're a person who's constantly in your feelings about like all the luckiness you've had about meeting people or whatever, For Good is like crack because you're
Yeah,
like,
correct.
because you're constantly crying.
Well, and they keep saying that their version of it, like they like were like, what was the song that you liked singing together the most? And they said For Good.
Oh,
Like they were like they each of them say that, and because they already shot the whole freaking movie, like it's done.
I crave it. I crave because I used to be real horny, so I do crave As Long as You're Mine.
Yeah,
Can you
that'll be
imagine
good. That'll be
Jonathan
good.
Bailey just like rolling around in a dark swamp, singing
Yeah, like
sexy songs?
yeah. I'm
God,
really nervous to see like what he's gonna look like as the Scarecrow.
aren't we all? I know.
Okay, so do we think that? Oh no, we know.
We know. What do we know?
Because like in the beginning shot, whenever it's like her hat is like she's like singed away,
Yeah.
and but then like once the monkeys fly out of the window, the next shot you see is someone riding a horse, and that's her, right?
Well, at the end of the musical, don't they just pop out from like her basement?
Yeah, and they're like, it
"Ah!"
worked. Yeah, and they're like, oh, we're
And
gonna
then
be.
music over.
I think that Glinda's gonna know. Like weirdly,
Yeah.
I feel like there's gonna be a shot of Glinda doing like For Good, and she's gonna look up and like see that she's like on her broom, like way in the distance, and then like fly away. And then she's gonna be like, even though that's not what happens in the that's not what happens in the
I can't remember if that's what happens in the book.
it's I don't know. No,
Is it?
she dies in the book.
Oh, she dies in the book. And Fiyero isn't the Scarecrow. She just
No, she
believes
thinks that he's going to be the Scarecrow, and then that was like her last hope is that he's going to be the Scarecrow and get it come to her. And then when when the Scarecrow gets there, it's not him.
it's not him.
And so she's like, that was my
donezo.
last reason. I remember the climax of the book being like so intense, and she like hates Dorothy so much, but then once she realizes that Dorothy just is like an outcast here, like she was, then she's like, I'm a fucking terrible person.
Yeah.
And then she dies.
The book is so fucking dark.
It's so dark.
It's so dark.
You want to talk about a
Please
dark
read.
reimagining that? The book.
God. And he wrote it to be dark and political and to make us think about our lives, and we didn't. Because
No, like
here
at
we
all.
are
We were like,
in
you were like, this is a
2025.
musical now. Let's read it. And then you're like, what the fuck is this?
The
Yeah.
fuck? I thought it was just gonna be orgy on orgies.
Yeah. But then like, yeah, right. Cause like again, like it's like the monkeys break through in that first part, that's like the the monkeys break through the window, but then as you see them, then you see that there's like the drawbridge and it's like a hooded figure on a horse, like riding for a minute, but like that's her.
It's gotta be.
It has to be, right? There, who
It
else would
has
that
to.
be?
Who would that
And
be?
then you go up over that thing, and then you see the wizard, like you see Dorothy and all the people.
Well, you know what, Chris? I'm seeing it for a third time on Saturday, so I'll be making sure.
Same. So we'll be able
We're
to
insane.
verify this.
I told my stepmom, I was like, I might see it once a week until it's gone, until they won't let me see it anymore. Like until they physically remove it from theaters. Because it's a great way to spend 3 hours. It's
It
just
sure is.
it's really beautiful. How do you feel? Because we talked about talent, but as with all good shows, there was stunt casting and it came in the form of Jeff Goldblum and maybe your queen, Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh, I'm fine with it. I see where people could be like, why was she in this role?
I love her.
But I also like, I like it.
Okay.
But she's that's like the way that she acts is like that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but she is still like when she does like her remarkable, absolutely remarkable. Like that was good. There are times when she needs to be like more evil, and I think they kind of were like, just be normal.
Yeah. Maybe she ramps it up for part 2.
I think she does.
Because Belinda does start to
word? They like
regret.
spar. They like spar a lot.
She begins to regret her life and her choices.
I think, I don't know. She is, I feel like, the weak link of all of them, but she's still, I don't know. That part is such a nothing part. You know what I mean? It's like there for like a plot device more than like a real character.
As you know, I think Jeff Goldblum is daddy. And and a lot of our friends have told me that I'm wrong and he's creepy. He's daddy. I believe that Jeff Goldblum is what we all base sexuality around.
He also like did great in this. He barely has he was Jeff Goldblum as the wizard, but like I'd rather that than like who else would do it?
I love him. I want that big stone bust of his head. Do you think that?
And the fact that he had like tap shoes on for no reason, like that was so fun. Like I just found it fun, and he's like a weirdo.
Yes, I love that. Even so, again, nuance and layers. It's like, well, is the wizard even that evil of a guy, or is he just like a guy that crashed and made up a story? He's just some like goof who's like, he's like your weird uncle at Christmas who's like, come play with my train set.
He's not like nefarious. I mean, he is, but he's not this like evil.
No,
like I'm maniacal and like I want to be a dictator. I mean, he does, but it's like in the way that's like, because he's like, oh, I could do this. Like, okay. I'm like mediocre and a loser. I'm not even like really that smart. So I'm just gonna like do it.
Yeah, him and Bach, the king of the incels.
And so, yeah.
And no, I loved that part. And I think that I like got more tickled the second viewing of him just being like, come play in my train set.
Yeah. Like, and we're like, oh, this man's a loser.
And I'm like, Uncle Jeff.
And he says like, and he's like, I spent a lot of time alone. Like, remember when he says that?
I did whisper to myself when he went, huh, what's that? And I went, oh no, up close magic.
Yeah.
I was like, not a magician. Like, no. But no, I love him in it. I thought Jonathan Bailey also did a really good job. And apparently he owns that horse. So that's hot.
Yeah.
He owns that horse.
Like
Like,
ding dong. Yeah.
ding dong. Also, I heard that he did all of his own dancing when
They
they
all
close up.
did their own stunts. That's the other part of this is like even the Nessa Rose, the girl playing Nessa Rose, when they were like, okay, we're gonna like hoist you up in the air like 90 million feet, like, and she's like, I'm doing it.
Sounds
And then
fun.
like even Ariana and Cynthia said they called each other and they were like, you're doing your own stunts, right? And she's like, yes. And she's like, me too. And then like, okay,
Yeah,
done. Like that matters.
that matters.
When when Tom Cruise, where's Shelly, hangs onto the side of a plane, we all fucking give him like 90 million awards. Okay.
We do. And he doesn't even do me the good graces of falling off said fucking plane.
Yeah.
Because hangs on. But yeah, I found Jonathan Bailey delightful. And you know I'm a Bridgerton hater. You know that I watch every season of
I didn't know that actually.
I watch every season of Bridgerton just so I can tell people how unsexy.
How much you hate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the sexiest thing that they ever pull off on Bridgerton is, ooh, he goes down on women. And I'm like, bigger bar.
Yeah.
I do find him very charming. I love a man who isn't afraid of touching other men on screen. Like the way that he interacts when he spins that old lady librarian to be like, shh,
Incredible.
I'm sexy.
Incredible. Like it was so good. And again, that joke has happened 90 million times.
Yes.
The joke of like an old lady is like horny for like a young hot guy. Like that is, it's the oldest trick in the book. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and yet we loved it.
I loved it. I loved every moment of this movie. When people give me like, okay, the lighting, I did notice the lighting. I noticed that it washed out some people, and I didn't
It
get
just
to
is
see
like very natural light for like what I assumed would be like a fantastical situation.
I was like, you could have just clicked. I was like thinking about my iPhone, and I was like, if you had just clicked that window, it would have shown me Ariana's face because it would have adjusted the lighting to not
But
be on
like
that
that's
window.
yeah. But like again, like we all say this, but like remember, like that was they intentionally shot it this way. Like, yeah.
Who am I to tell John Chu what to do? Who am I? They didn't pay me to do it.
No. And you know what? Other people like you watch, they will win cinematography.
Oh, they should.
Camera work in that movie was incredible compared to I watched Conclave getting ready to like be blown away. When I tell you the camera work on that movie was the most predictable, boring shit I've ever seen in my life.
When I tell you that I can't even type in CON to try and pretend like I'm gonna watch Conclave. And think of all those like barely straight men that I love that are in Conclave.
Yeah, no, like yeah, it's like right up for you. Yeah, it's up your alley. Ray Fiennes.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes. But then they all decided that they wanted to be Pope, and I'm like, I'm out. I don't want to watch you battle to be Pope.
It's and it's like not even that. I wish that's what it was. It's like so weird. I don't know. It was like not my jam, but like there was one scene where like John Lithgow is being like confronted by Ray Fiennes, and it's like a scene that's like very intense.
Yeah.
Compared to the rest of the movie where he's like, I know you did this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like shit goes down. And it's like a long track down the hallway to see them fighting. And I'm like, what is this? 2007? Like, get me out of here.
2008, 2000 late.
Like the exact opposite choice to make in this scene that's like a very integral scene for the movie that like drives the entire story forward.
Yeah, they should win. Oh, they should win so many fucking Oscars for this movie because let me tell you, I'm so tired of Star Wars winning like sound mixing and like special effects.
Oh, they'll win every one of these. And every one of the technical awards they're going to win. There's no way.
There's no way. What was a good movie that was technical this year? You can't name one. A Dune movie? A Dune?
Give me a break.
I can't watch the Dune movies either.
The second one was good. The second one was better. The first one,
I guess we should wrap up.
Yeah, we've only been doing this for 2 hours. Yeah, what did we even say?
About? We planned a trip.
No, I feel like I drove home my thesis of like well done versions of things that I love.
And I think it's true that like when women do things really well, all of a sudden, even other women are like, I don't get it. Like, just be happy 2 women are on the movie. Like, we had that argument with the Barbie movie, too.
what's there not to get? And but I will say this is so different because it's like, what's not to get about this? Like, it's a movie version of this musical that has been on Broadway for my entire adult life.
Right. If
Like,
you
there's real, just Google it and you can find out. Like the Barbie movie, we had no idea what that was going to be. Like, we knew what this movie was going to be.
also, I don't understand why you would sit through a 2.5 hour movie for a musical that you didn't see when you were 15.
Yeah.
Why are you going?
No, I agree with
That's
you.
why
Or at least been like, let me read the Wikipedia page of what the musical is so I like know what's
listen
happening.
to a soundtrack. What do you think our lesson is from the Wicked movie and everything surrounding it? What do you think our life lesson is?
I think that our life lesson is that don't be embarrassed about your talent.
And I would add on as my life lesson is it's okay to live joyfully. Like it's
Yeah,
okay to
like
be excited
it's
about
it's
this.
it's allowed, you're allowed to like enjoy your life.
Yeah. And Wicked was your jumpstart for it's like, hey, it's cool again to be a geek over stuff. But as you know, I went full off the edge for that fucking Eras tour. Uh and like that was my moment of like, oh my God, we can enjoy things again.
Yeah. Yeah, like
Like,
I don't have to be like a too cool for school person.
yeah.
That's like,
And it's
yeah.
been so much better. So yeah, I also, yeah. And I think another lesson of the Wicked movie is you can always come back from your shitty Nickelodeon built reputation. Like,
Yeah, correct. Yes.
correct. Like I am officially saying that we are walking forward with grace now when it comes to Ariana Grande.
Yeah, and she was getting wrecked earlier.
She was getting wrecked and we're over it. Chris fixed her.
No, but I think the biggest lesson is like we're back to basics, baby. And that's like there's a power in that. That's how I feel. And I feel like it's a time where like talent will rise to the top,
Yes.
as it should be.
Well,
By the
and
way.
as two very fucking talented people on this call, may I say it's about damn time.
Yeah.
I would
No.
love for Chris and I to be getting our flowers instead of these morons, these micro
Like
influencers on all the red carpets asking Hugh Grant of all people dumb questions.
oh my god, never forget.
Do you love plaid or stripes? And he's like, fuck you. And then you guys want to be mad at Hugh Grant? I'm mad at that teenager for even approaching Hugh Grant. Never forget. So yeah, it's about the goddamn time that talent get us somewhere. I would like to manifest that Wicked inspires people to hire special effects, makeup, and costuming people and do practical sets again.
Yeah. Yeah, agree. Agree. I'm sick of the like full I'm sick of the Marvel effect.
Yeah, I'm sick of everyone just showing up and putting on a computer on their body. It doesn't feel fun for the actors either. Could you imagine going to work every day and putting on a green condom all over your body with little ping pong balls and then them being like, Natalie, today you're Galinda the Good. Am I?
Yeah, no.
No, I'm not. Like, give me a pink fucking prom dress. I'm Galinda the Good.
Yeah.
What would your manifestation like to be? Because I've been on that for a while. The like, we need to go back to practical effects.
No, I agree with you. I mean, that's why I hated the Hobbit movies because they were just all green
Ugh,
screen. And like, whereas like Lord of the Rings, the OG is like
so
such
beautiful.
beauty. It's like so beautiful. I think that I'm manifesting that like, I'm just like talent is rising to the top. I know I just said it already, but like where it's like this person that's like has a really good voice is like super rewarded for that, or like someone who's like putting in the work and like really showing up versus like you know who like got left in the fucking dust? Renee Rapp. We can't go into it, but like someone who was like, I'm great, like blah blah blah, this and that. Like remember her press tour where she's like, old people that are older than me are like, I don't even know who they are, or like whatever that.
Losers.
Yeah, and I was like, and everyone was like, no, we're actually fine. And she like had talent but tried to be a cool girl, and like she was rejected.
I love
Like
Renee Rapp.
I like that. I would rather like 9,000 Rachel Berries be like not Leah Michelle, but like
Not Leah
Rachel
Michelle.
Berries like become real actors and like take it so seriously than
Yeah.
like a bunch of Renee Raps like
Yeah.
trying to be cool girls and like be mean.
I think you and I are people who enjoy art. And therefore, when we're watching a movie, I want to see the craft behind that movie and behind
Correct.
the character.
Correct.
Well, Chris, I'm so glad that we got to do this for 18 hours.
For 2 hours, for 2 full hours.
For
Yes.
2 full hours. And then you're going to sign up to do it again for 2 full hours for It Ends With Us.
Oh, I can't wait. I got my notepad ready.
And you have to come back for part 2
Oh,
when all the
obviously,
sad
duh.
things happen
Yeah.
in the Wicked play. But make sure everyone knows where to find Fixing Famous People and you and all the times you're going to be at Dominic's show.
So, you can find me at the Krista Rosa. You can find the show at Fixing Famous People. Obviously, you can find Natalie on multiple episodes. Dominic is doing his end of the year, the Dom We Now Are Gay apparel show. Yeah. So you can find me there. You can find tickets at domandterry.com. And yeah, our Patreon is poppin'. We need to have you on for LeAnn Rimes. Maybe that's a good bonus episode that we do.
Anything to be on a call with you and Dom. And now I'm flying out to see Gypsy. I'll tell Dom.
And you'll be Dom. Yeah.
I'll be like,
absolutely.
Dom, I'm coming for Gypsy and you.
And us.
And you.
Okay, I love you.
I love you too. And remember, tolerators, you don't have to smile through anything you're tolerating, including wanting to see the biggest movie of the decade every week until they rip it from your cold, dead hands, and having people tell you that it was overproduced, that the lighting was bad, and that Ariana Grande should die for all of her sins. Smiles are for joy.
Overproduced. People are bold to say overproduced when there's the shit that we've had to fucking sit through that people say are like, no.